Death of a Unicorn, directed by Alex Scharfman, is now in theaters. I saw this last week during its opening weekend. Did not do so hot at the box office its opening weekend. Don't think it had very much carryover. It stars Paul Rudd, Jenna Ortega, Will Poulter, Richard E. Grant, and Téa Leoni. And ultimately, this movie's not very good. It's pretty bland at best, I would say. Mildly entertaining at its peak and quite boring at its worst, I would say. Death of a Unicorn, vaguely, at least for the most part, is about Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega play father-daughter. They're a bit estranged. Paul Rudd is this unknown capitalist guy who's taken over the family business from Richard E. Grant and his son Will Poulter and his wife Téa Leoni. Kind of boring and uninteresting. And while they are at the rich people's, I don't even know the family's name, while they're at Richard E. Grant's mansion, things go wrong and a unicorn is murdered by accident due to Paul Rudd. He runs over a unicorn driving his way over there. And things ensue, I guess. There's, the family of the unicorn gets very upset, and I'll leave it at that. This movie's not very good overall. I'll start with the performances. On paper, a very well cast movie. Paul Rudd, arguably the most likable man in Hollywood in the 21st century, is quite. He's not bad in this movie. He's doing what he does. He's being Paul Rudd. The problem is that his character is extremely unlikable. Has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. So it's pretty hard to root for him. I think Jenna Ortega is kind of actively bad in this movie. She's once again playing a 17-year-old girl, which I guess that's all she's going to do for the next 15 years, I suppose, which is kind of annoying because she is a very good actress, but I haven't really seen her in a good movie, and I don't even know how long. She's not very good in this. She's playing very, very stereotypical, teenage girl. I hate everything. I hate my parents. I hate my dad. Yada, yada, yada. It's very one note, very boring. Richard E. Grant and Téa Leoni, I think, are fine at best. They don't have much of a character arc. They're pretty uninteresting overall. The star of this movie is Will Poulter, who, granted, he gets to play the kind of coked out son of a rich guy where he just doesn't have any real responsibilities and is clearly not a very intelligent person. And he's very outlandish and has a ton of fun with it. And Will Poulter, who's a good actor, makes a meal of it. So he's the MVP of this movie, I would say. He's actually very, very good in it. Kind of kills this movie. And anytime he's on screen, I am a big fan. So that is really all of the praise I can give this movie. It starts and ends with Will Poulter. Oh, you know what? That's not true. The unicorn is, I'm pretty sure it's fully CGI for 100% of the movie. Unicorns, spoiler alert, there's multiple. They look very good CGI wise. I like the design. The unicorns are quite evil in this movie. However, they do still look majestic and magical, I suppose. They're a little bit different compared to, your cartoon looking unicorns that you would expect. I think they look quite convincing. And in scenes where they're, interacting with the humans or running around causing chaos and destruction, I think they hold up pretty good. So I will give it that praise at least. My biggest problem with this movie, and this is a trend that not started because this has always been a trend, but it really grew around the COVID times. And, it's not hard to see why, I suppose. But the trend that I am referring to is these kind of subgenre of eat the rich movies. There are a lot of movies that have not a tagline, but the overarching theme is eat the rich. And there are plenty of good eat the rich movies out there. And there are plenty of not so good ones out there. And there have been a lot of bad ones recently. Now, why is this? I have some theories. Number one, the current times that we live in. Wealth disparity is at an all-time high. The rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer, the middle class is disappearing. I'll leave it at that. Number two, these movies seem relatively cheap to make. You get one nice location, in this case, the mansion that Richard E. Grant family lives at. You get a cast of 5, 6, 7 to 10 actors and actresses. You stay in one location, and that's it. Not a big movie. And this type of story is always going to be relatable. It's been relatable for 50 plus years when it comes to making movies. Parasite won Best Picture not that long ago. That is arguably the definitive Eat the Rich movie. There's movies like The Menu, which I think is a fine movie, but was quite popular on streaming. And I don't necessarily have a problem with it. It's just the good ones, they almost always have fleshed out characters on both sides. The reason Parasite is such an anomaly is because we spend a lot of time with all the parties involved. And then, mainly we do spend time with the poorer family, and we see their point of view, it feels like most of the time, but not all the time. And we get to see how both sides are living and the differences, rather than just in Death of a Unicorn, which again is supposed to be this like action comedy, not necessarily in the same vein as Parasite, which obviously gets very serious at some moments. Death of a Unicorn it can't be serious because it's about a unicorn. So when it tries to be serious, I think it wants you to take it seriously, but it just has no shot of doing that. And the time we spend with the characters, there's outside of Jenna Ortega, sometimes all the characters are unlikable. Even Will Poulter, who kills it, he's playing a bad person. So you can't root for him. You really can't root for Paul Rudd at all. You root for Jenna Ortega a little bit, but like she is playing an annoying teenager, so she's annoying in the movie, which is the point. But movies like this, they don't connect. They just don't, because like you don't care. I didn't care. This movie runs like 100 minutes, I think, maybe a little less. So it's not that long. I think if you enjoyed something like The Menu or some of these other, Eat the Rich stories that are like quite simple and straightforward, I think this movie, you probably like this movie. I certainly didn't hate this movie, but I did feel some exhaustion during it, because I think we are reaching the nadir of this type of storytelling. Not necessarily Eat the Rich, where you can't make a Parasite again. I mean, Bong Joon-ho just made Mickey 17, which I think was lovely and is very clearly an anti-capitalist Eat the Rich story. But that's a sprawling sci-fi epic. I wonder if we are running out of these small contained stories. Not necessarily like a Blink Twice, because that's kind of a little different. Opus, which came out this year with Ayo Edebiri. I didn't get to see that, but apparently that is also another like small contained Eat the Rich story, which didn't get great reviews, didn't do good at the box office. So I'm just wondering what the appetite is for this type of contained, like one location movie where it's not necessarily it's quite predictable, but like that your main characters, in this case Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega, are gonna come out on top. I just don't know if audiences are feeling that anymore. And hey, audiences need to go to theaters anyway. So I don't necessarily recommend this movie, but if you need something to do for 100 minutes, 90 minutes, there are much worse movies you could see out there. So that's my review, I'd say. Short and sweet and to the point, under 10 minutes, just the way we like it. Thank you for watching. Don't worry, I'm seeing a Minecraft movie this weekend, so I will certainly be reviewing whatever the heck that is. But thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, yada, 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 and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.